In 1955, a physicist sat down to write a letter. His best friend had just died, and instead of writing the usual sort of thing you'd write, "I'm sorry, he'll be missed, time heals," he wrote something strange, something that, if you take it seriously, changes what you think death actually is. He wrote that people like his friend, who believe in physics, know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. The man who wrote that letter was Albert Einstein, and he wrote it about 3 weeks before his own death. Now, was he just comforting a grieving family, or was he saying something the equations had been whispering to him for 50 years? That's what we're going to figure out today. G'day, I'm Abdullah. Welcome back to Curious Physics AU. And today we're asking the biggest question physics can ask. Is death a misunderstanding? All right, let's set the scene properly, because this isn't just a nice quote on a coffee mug. Einstein's oldest mate was a Swiss engineer named Michele Besso. They'd been friends since uni. Besso was actually the only person Einstein thanked in his original 1905 paper on special relativity. That's how close they were. When Besso died in March 1955, Einstein wrote to Besso's family. And the heart of that letter is this line. I'll paraphrase it the way a physicist would read it. For us who believe in physics, the separation between past, present, and future has only the meaning of an illusion, though a persistent one. Now hold on. That's a wild sentence because in everyday life, past, present, and future feel like the most real thing going. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow hasn't happened. Right now, this moment where you're watching this, feels like the only real bit. Einstein is saying that feeling is wrong, not poetically wrong, physically wrong. So we have to ask, on what grounds? What in his theory gave him the confidence to write that to a grieving family? That's where we need to go next, into the actual physics. Let me ask you a simple question. What is now? Most people would say, now is this moment. Everywhere, all at once. Right now, there's a now in Sydney, and a now in Perth, and a now on the moon, and a now in the Andromeda galaxy. One big universal now, ticking forward like a conductor's baton. That's the idea Newton had, a universal clock. One time for everybody. And for about 200 years, that idea was the law. It felt right. It matched experience. And in 1905, a 26-year-old patent clerk in Switzerland quietly dismantled it. Here's what Einstein figured out. The speed of light is the same for everyone. Doesn't matter how fast you're moving and you measure light, you get the same number. About 300,000 kilometers per second. That sounds like a boring technicality. It's not. It's a wrecking ball. Because if the speed of light is the same for everyone, then time and space can't be the same for everyone. One of them has to bend, and it's both. Time stretches, space contracts, depending on how fast you're moving relative to someone else. Here's the kicker, the bit that matters for tonight's question. If your now and my now depend on how we're moving, then there is no single universal now. There is no cosmic right this second. And if there's no universal now, then what exactly is the line between past and future? Let me show you with an example. And I'm going to use the most Australian example I can think of. Picture this. You're standing by the side of the Hume Highway. A ute, long tray, big one, comes flying past you at a fair clip. Now, at the exact instant, the middle of the tray is level with you. Two lightning bolts strike. One at the front of the tray, one at the back. From your point of view, standing still on the highway, both bolts hit at the same moment. Simultaneous. Dead equal. Now. Your mate is sitting in the middle of the tray, moving with the ute. What does she see? She's moving forward toward the front bolt. The light from the front bolt reaches her first. The light from the back bolt has to chase her, so it reaches her second. From her point of view, the front bolt happened before the back bolt. They were not simultaneous, not even close. Now, who's right? You or her? Here's the answer that broke physics. Both of you are. Neither of you is mistaken. Neither of you needs glasses. The universe genuinely does not have a single answer to the question, did these two things happen at the same time? The answer depends on who's asking. This is called the relativity of simultaneity. And it has a consequence that most people, even physics students, don't fully sit with. Here it is. If two events, say a lightning bolt at the front of the tray and a lightning bolt at the back, can be past, present, or future, depending on who's looking, then those labels aren't really properties of the events. They're properties of the viewer. Past, present, future. They're not out there in the universe. They're in the observer, like left and right. There is no cosmic left. There's only your left. And if that's true, then the whole river of time picture we carry around starts to crack. So what picture does relativity suggest instead? Physicists call it the block universe. Here's the idea. Instead of a present moment that moves forward in time, leaving the past dead behind it, and the future not yet born, instead of that, imagine the whole of space-time as one giant four-dimensional block, already complete, already there. Every moment, you being born, you watching this video, you eating dinner tomorrow, the sun burning out in 5 billion years. Every single one of them exists in that block, like pages already printed in a book. You don't experience the book all at once. You read it page by page. But the earlier pages haven't been destroyed just because you've turned past them. And the later pages aren't invented as you arrive. They were always there. That's the block universe. And it's not fringe physics. It's the picture that falls out naturally from Einstein's equations. If there's no universal now, then there's no universal line between what has happened and what will happen. It's all just there. Feynman, by the way, had a lovely way of putting this sort of thing. He said a physicist has to be comfortable with the fact that nature doesn't care what we find intuitive. She's going to be however she is, and our job is to catch up. And nature, as far as Einstein's equations tell us, does not seem to divide the world into a live now and a dead then. Which brings us, finally, to the question in the title. All right, be careful here. I want to be very, very honest with you because this is where pop science videos usually go off the rails. If the block universe is right, if every moment of space-time exists as part of the four-dimensional block, then the moment of your grandma's 10th birthday, the moment you first rode a bike, the moment a loved one who has passed was laughing with you, those moments haven't been erased. They exist in the block. They are as real as the moment you're in now. They're just located at different coordinates. Einstein's line to the Besso family makes sense in this picture. Besso hadn't stopped existing. He just reached the edge of his slice of the block. His life, beginning to end, was still there, permanently woven into space-time. That is an extraordinary thing to sit with. It's not religion. It's not wishful thinking. It's a picture that comes out of equations that put GPS satellites in the sky and predict gravitational waves down to a decimal. But, and here's the honest bit, physics does not say you wake up. Physics does not say there's an afterlife. Physics does not say your consciousness hops to another slice of the block. What relativity suggests is gentler and stranger than that. It suggests that the framing we use, gone forever, no longer exists, wiped out, might be built on a Newtonian picture of time that simply isn't how the universe works. In Einstein's picture, was and is are not the clean opposites we treat them as. Your loved one was here, and in the block universe, was here means is here, at a different coordinate. That's not a loophole around grief. Grief is real, loss is real. But the metaphysics behind the word gone, that might be the misunderstanding. Now, I want to be careful because I love this channel being honest with you. Not every physicist buys the block universe. Some prefer a growing block, where the past and present exist, but the future is genuinely open. Others lean on quantum mechanics to argue that the universe is more dynamic than Einstein's equations alone suggest. There's a real live debate. I'll link some reading in the description for the HSC and VCE students who want to go deeper. It's great extension material for your nature of light and space-time topics. But here's the thing, even the physicists who disagree about the details mostly agree on this much. The everyday picture of time, where the present is a thin moving sliver and everything behind it is annihilated, is almost certainly wrong. Time, whatever it is stranger than that. And that, I think, is the real answer to our question. Is death a misunderstanding? The event is real. The body stops. The biology ends. That part isn't up for debate, but the story we tell ourselves about what death means, that someone has been deleted from reality, that the past is nothing, that a person who was here is now nowhere. That story leans on a model of time that Einstein showed us doesn't quite hold up. Maybe the universe is more like a book than a river, and closing a chapter isn't the same as burning it. Here's where I'll get a little personal. I don't think physics is supposed to replace the way we grieve. We're human. We miss people. That's not a bug. But there's something quietly freeing about Einstein's letter. He wasn't saying, don't be sad. He was saying, the sadness is built on a picture of reality that isn't quite the whole picture. The people you love aren't deleted. They're just at a different set of coordinates in a universe that, as far as our best physics can tell, keeps all its moments. Every time you are kind to someone, that moment is permanent. Every laugh, every good afternoon, every ordinary Tuesday, the block keeps them, not as memories, as real things. That's not a religion. That's what the maths suggests. And maybe that's enough to make you live a bit more carefully. Because in a block universe, nothing you do is ever truly lost. It's woven in. So, is death a misunderstanding? I think the honest answer is the event is real, but the frame we put around it might not be. And that's worth sitting with. If this made you think, do me a favor, hit subscribe, because I'm making these every week for Aussie students and anyone who likes their physics curious and honest. Drop a comment telling me which bit cracked your brain open. Was it the Ute, the block, or Einstein's letter? I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious.